Hi again. One more instalment of Child's Pose to Child's Pose. This is the second time I filmed this video this morning. I went through like an hour and a bit of class and then got to the end of the video, turned the off button and turned the on button. So we're going to go again. So when you're ready, come into Child's Pose and hopefully my day won't be one of those days. So round 2 for me, round 1 for you. A little bit of an Ashtanga based sequence, and I'm sort of learning that I mustn't make it too long because my phone and my iPad can't deal with it. So I'm going to do it in 2 sections. I'm going to do 2 videos. I'm going to do this video of standing poses, and then I'll do another one where we can come and do some hips and some seated. So we're going to come over the top of our cat and into our cow. Any of these poses that when we roll through cat-cow, you know, if you want to take any of those other options, knee lifts, little side-to-side moves, anything that feels nice, you've got the video now, so you can sort of play it again and you can add your own things to it. So you look at this as a template to sort of add your own thing to the classes, which is then gives you sort of ways to explore your own little extras, if you like. So downward facing dog, and just have a pedal out through downward facing dog. You can pause as well, so you can put pause on if you want to hang around longer in a pose. You can do that as well if you want to sort of just check it and play with it a little bit, and you can do that as well. We're going to just take a walk all the way to the top of our mat this morning, right from the beginning, and then nice midway spine. Hands come into the mat, take your feet a little bit wider, bend your right knee and place your right hand on the floor. Straighten your left leg and take your left arm up. And imagine that piece of string in your hand attached to your hip, and your hand is going to roll that hip a little higher by just having a pull of that string. And then imagine the same as you go the other way, right leg straightens, right arm lifts, rolling the hip to the hand. Let's do one more, breath in, breath out. And another, breath in, breath out, and you can do loads of these at another time. Both hands to the mat, bring your hands to the shin bones. Let's take our arms behind the back and roll the shoulders. A little bit cold at the moment, so let's get into our shoulders. Nice knee bend so you can rest your chest to your thighs. Let your head bow and take your arms over your head. And just sort of have a wiggle around through those shoulders. Don't force your shoulders anywhere they don't want to go just yet. It's early class. And then come halfway, hands to back. And then hands transfer from hips to shins. Modify your forward fold. Exhale, fold your legs with straight or bent legs. Inhale, sweep up the arms, bringing your feet a little bit closer together. And let's take our first pause here in Namaste. Sun Salutation A of the Ashtanga. Taking a breath in, sweeping the arms up. Exhale, folding forward, Uttanasana. Now, depending on how warm you are, lift your chest. Either walk back or jump back to plank. Let's lower our knees and our chest, keeping your elbows by your sides. And your cobra is so personal to you as you roll your shoulders back and down. Tucking your toes under to down facing dog. And just taking a breath or so here, just to establish alignment, to focus on your down dog. Never ignore your down dog. Always notice the changes, how your body responds. And where you need to move, maybe again, remember you've got movement if you need it. You don't always have to feel tight and held. Gazes forward. Walk or try a little jump back, gives you a confidence to lift your body. And exhale, fold to your legs. We're going to move through that twice more, taking a breath in. Option to take a tiny back bend and then exhale, fall forward into that forward fold. Lifting the chest. If you don't want to jump, you walk back, so step or jump to your plank. Lower your knees in your chest, and as you inhale, finding your cobra or finding up facing dog. Downward facing dog. Exhale. So looking out, your fingers, spread them out. Occasionally you could lift off your hands and come just onto your fingers and get a little workout for your finger joints. And you can do the same on your toes, and you can move and you can just play around with it a little bit. Head, neck, all of that involved. Gazes forward at your hands. Walk or try a little hop back to the top of your mat. Forward to your legs. Exhale. Take a breath in, extend the arms up. Little back bend. I'm going to add on the end of this one also. Exhale, Uttanasana. Gazes forward, step, or try that little hop back. Now if you're warming with me, halfway like a press up, and then stepping or rolling over your toes into up facing dog. Downward facing dog. Exhale. We're going to just lift our right leg off the mat. We're not turning out the hip, we're just going straight up, flexing out through our heel and coming straight down. We're going to do the same with our left leg goes straight up, flex out through the heel and straight down. Bend your knees, feel like you've got some bounce in your legs today, and step or jump in. Spine is long. Exhale, fold to the legs. Inhale, sweep up the arms and come to Tadasana. Exhale. So we're going to add a little bit more to our sun salutation twice through. We're going to start in chair pose. From our chair pose to our forward fold. Lifting the chest to gaze, step in or jump into your plank. Going to come halfway on knees, chest, and into your up dog or your cobra. Into downward facing dog. Now your right leg is coming in between your hands and your back foot to the floor. So we're going to rise up as a warrior one, a lovely proud warrior one. Going to open our warrior one to our warrior two and take a reverse little back bend there. Circle the arms like a windmill and step back to plank. We're going to bypass the vinyasa and bring in one press up. Inhale, exhale, and downward facing dog. Going to step our left foot in between our hands and our back foot to the floor. Push your feet down into your mat as you want. Find your warrior two, and your reverse warrior. Going to windmill the arms around. Find your plank, and this time knees or halfway. Upward facing dog or cobra, and downward facing dog. Exhale. Couple of breaths here. So this is round 2 for me. So I can confidently say I'm warm. Gaze is forward at your hands. Walk or jump to the top of your mat. Spine is long. Fold to your legs. Exhale. Sweep up your arms, breath in. And come to Tadasana. Exhale. We're going to do that one more time. Just going to add a little bit more. So chair pose the same. Exhale, fold forward. Lift the chest to gaze. Take a fold back to the legs like a pause breath. Inhale, lift the chest. Step or jump. Knees or halfway. Inhale, up facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. So we're going to take our right leg off the mat this time. Bend the knee, heel to bottom, little hip opener. And bring your leg through from there. Your back foot to the floor. Going to take a warrior one, inhale. A warrior two, exhale. Reverse your warrior. Windmill your arms. And step back to your plank. We add a press up. Inhale. Exhale. And downward facing dog. So just that little extra of that left leg lifting. Opening your hip. Bringing your foot between your hands. Your back foot to the ground. We've got firm feet in the ground as we come up. We love 2 feet on the ground. Warrior two, exhale. Reverse that warrior. Circle the arms around. And step back to your plank. Your vinyasa, knees or halfway. Inhale, up facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. So we should feel warm. They're quite dynamic sun salutations. And if you need to turn the video off for a minute or two, grab a drink, and then just dip back in, please do. Gaze is forward at your hands. Walk or jump to the top of your mat. Spine is long. Fold to your legs. Exhale. Taking a breath in, sweeping the arms up. And bringing your hands to your heart to Namaste. So we're going to start the standing work at the top of our mat. Feet hip distance, hands to your hips, and your shoulders comfortable and relaxed. Let's take a tip forward. Take a little knee bend on your way down. You're going to find your big toes, your shin bones, your elbows, wherever you can reach, wherever you're comfortable. Or 2 fingers around your big toe with your thumb. And then just gradually start to straighten your legs out if you can. Shoulders back and down. Neck nice and free. Little movement around if you want, side to side, forward and back. Anything that feels good just to get into your hamstrings and get the confidence to move your body around a little bit. And then we take a breath in, lift the chest flat back. Now if you need to for any reasons, back reasons or anything, you can always come up from there. But if you can, tuck your hands underneath your feet and just see if you can bring your weight a little bit more into, almost like you're pushing your knuckles into the mat with the pads of your feet. And then just sort of fold back over the legs, and that will really wake up those hamstrings and tell you that they're there, that they exist today. So lower belly lifted, shoulders open, elbows sort of like you're going to nudge either side of you, and then a couple of nice easy breaths here, and also you can move here as well if you want to. Lifting the chest to gaze, we're going to place the hands on the mat, rock the weight into the hands, lift the heels off the floor and walk or jump to plank. So it's taking a little short hold in plank, so we just got sort of a little bit of awareness to our plank. Head in line, belly in, nice and active through the backs and the legs, and nice and supportive through the fronts of the legs. Plank is a sharing pose, share it through your whole body. Chaturanga or half or knees and chest. Inhale, up facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. So we're going to take our right leg off the mat, 3-limbed downward facing dog, bend the knee. And we're going to take 1 tiger curl today, but just 1. And that 1 tiger curl, we're just going to pause and round and hold, connect with the core, have a look at your hands, and then place your foot between your hands. Bring your back foot to the ground again, and come up into a warrior 2. And we're not going to hang around in warrior, we're going to straighten the leg. Slide to the tip of your toes, and find triangle Trikonasana. And you can find your foot, your ankle, your calf, even the inside of your knee. Relax the shoulders, relax the harsh feeling in this pose. It's angular, so it's quite a tough pose, so try and soften the edges. You're going to take a wrap of your left arm behind your back, thread it around the back of your hip or thigh, and use that arm to open your chest, to roll your shoulder. And then as you release the arm back, either back to your triangle pose, or extend it and feel your underneath waist lifting as this arm reaches over, and try and reach to the tips of the fingers rather than sort of feel like an umbrella over the top of your head, reaching up and then coming all the way back and up, coming back into your warrior 2. You're going to let your arm rest on your thigh, take your left arm back, same as you had in your triangle pose, relax into that shoulder, and then reach this left arm over. If you want to go deeper, you can find your calf or your ankle or your mat, some of you, or stay on your thigh. And that means you're going to have to get more into the legs, go a little bit deeper into the legs. And if you want bigger and bolder than that, you wrap your left arm around and you bind. But don't sort of bind if it means that you sort of feel like you're attached to your leg, feel like you're separated and you're in control of that leg. Those of you in the bind, you can stay there, or you can come with me back to your angle pose. And then as we come out through our warrior 2, I'm going to straighten and turn to face forward, hands to hips or waist. Take a wide leg forward fold. First variation, hands to mat, and then do what you can to get your head on the mat. Feet can come, weight can come forward if possible. Think of your tailbone directly over the back of your neck, the crown of your head, and your shoulders relaxed and open, belly in. Taking a breath in, coming halfway, bringing your hands into your hips and slowly coming all the way up. Shoulders comfortable and relaxed. Now we're going to leave our hands on our hips this time as we wide leg fold again. And we're going to use the feeling of power in our legs and our breath and the flexibility we hold in our hips and back to try and get our head back on the floor again. And it might not get there, it doesn't matter. Try and avoid bringing your hands to the floor if you can, but if you need to, that's fine. Inhale, lift halfway. Feel a firmer connection with your legs. Lift your knees, your thighs, and see if you can just go back there, maybe just a little deeper this time. And then as you inhale this time, eyes following your movement up, coming all the way up, making this sort of lovely star feeling about your body. Bringing the right foot out to the side again, come back to your warrior two. Take a reverse of your warrior, windmill your arms, and step back to your plank. From your plank through your chaturanga, your vinyasa, up dog or cobra, downward facing dog. And we could just sort of register this down dog as a recovery, a way to have a little move around. Breathe, belly in. And then spreading the fingers out. Let's take our left leg off the mat. A little weave open of that hip. Bring your knee to your nose to your knee. Tiger curl your spine. Can you hold that? If you struggle, just put your foot on the floor. It really doesn't matter. And have a go. You will get stronger at it. Have a look at your hands. Bring your foot. It might need a little help. Back foot, and then push your feet down. We're a proud warrior one. From that warrior one, I've gone wrong there. So you've got an extra warrior one there, but that doesn't matter. Let's come into warrior two, and then straighten the leg. I always like to give you a little treat, so you have an extra warrior there. Let's come into our triangle pose. Roll your shoulders back and down, and then let's soften out the edges. This hip wants to sort of tuck in, and this sort of hip wants to roll back. So we want to get a little bit of stack in if we can. Wrapping your right arm behind your back, using as the bind as a way to just sort of open you up a little bit. And then either coming back to just your arm raised above your shoulder, or bringing that arm all the way over and try and lift your underneath waist. I compare this to a feeling of side plank, where you've got total control of your body here. And then slowly coming back into that warrior two. Arm resting on your thigh, right arm to ceiling, relax into your right shoulder. And then exhale the arm over. Whether you want to take your hand to your calf, your ankle, your mat, it's entirely how you feel. Sometimes it's nice to stay modified. But if you are working more advanced, we're wrapping the right arm around the back and we're threading the left arm under the thigh for a bind. And we're in control of that bind. Couple of breaths here, chest still facing that side of the room you're looking at. And then if you are in the bind, maybe one movement, one breath, come back to that angle pose. Coming all the way back to your warrior two, straightening your leg. This time we're going to take the arms behind our back as our feet face in. Open the chest, breath in. And then fold over the legs, chin tucks in. Head towards or on the mat, shoulders comfortable. It's possible if you're patient and you practice to get your arms on the floor. My excuse this morning is my sofa is stopping me, but that's my excuse. And then coming halfway, we're going to reach our arms up to that beautiful star pose. Keep your feet facing forward, but bring your hands to your chest. Tip halfway. And then let your hands slide out to the sides of your legs, your knees, your calves, your ankles, your big toes if you can reach. And make a frame with your arms and see if you can bring your head toward the back of your mat. So it's almost like we're closing in on our flexibility now. We're trying to unite our hamstrings, our hips and our lower back. Shoulders relaxing, breathe in, recovering. And then one more breath. Inhale to that flat back. Reaching the arms all the way above the head. Left foot is turning out. Warrior two, exhale. Reverse your warrior, inhale. Windmill your arms around and find your vinyasa, plank, knees, chest or chaturanga. Inhale, up facing dog or cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. And we just breathe here. So a nice open span of your hands. Spread your toes. Try not to sort of feel that the movement is too much in your back if you're moving. It's more in the sway and the swagger of your entire body. Or you just hold. Gaze is forward, bend the knees, feel you've got a little bounce, walk or jump to the top of your mat. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Taking a breath in, sweeping the arms up and bringing your hands to your hips this time. So last little part of the standing, we're just going to take the feet hip distance. Right foot stays where it is, left foot steps back, just a small walking stride, not too far. Make sure you can get your heel on the floor and make sure you can sort of swing your body so as much of your body facing the short end of your mat, and with your hands on your hips you can feel your own alignment. We're going to tip forward halfway like a tabletop. Right hip tucks in, weight in your back foot, relax 10 toes. If you've got more flexibility than that, we're going to bring your hands to your mat or put a couple of books or cushions or blocks there just to lift you up a little bit. With your right hip tucked in, you can stay there as a modification, or you take a fold over your front leg. And those of you that have got more flexibility than that, just take your hands to your back toes and just gently draw on your hands to see if you can find just a little bit more. Just find your own edge and your own feeling. And don't try and force hamstrings, you can't force them. They're not muscles, haven't got much range of flexibility. So just be patient with them, and a couple of breaths here. What we could do if we wanted to as we come halfway is just lift the chest and then just place your right hand on your right foot, and a bit of a weird and wonderful variation of triangle pose. Just take this left arm up, and if that worries your balance or your hamstrings, don't go there. It's just a variation while we're patient with our hamstrings. Both hands coming back to the mat if you've taken that option, and then just step in that back foot in so your legs are hip distance, hands to your hips or waist, belly in, and slowly up and back, shoulders back and down. Just step back on our left leg. Not too far. If you go too far, you're going to sort of struggle with balance and your hamstrings are going to be a little bit overloaded. So we just want to fold forwards. We're not stuck in mud, so we can move around a little bit through those legs and shift through our body if we need to. Feel your hips are level, your shoulders align with the top of your mat, your head aligns with your spine. You're going to bring your hands to your mat or your books or your cushion, and then lift the chest flat back. And if it's there for you, and you could always take a small knee bend, take a fold over your leg. You can always put the pause button here and spend minutes here if you want. You don't have to just be here for a few breaths. You could just turn me off for a bit and just sort of spend longer in these poses. Maybe that you're someone who can move your hands to your back foot. I'm quite lucky, quite flexible in my hamstrings. And just take that option. And then a couple more breaths here. And then hands coming back to your front leg. You can stay with that, or you can place your left hand on your foot. Take your right arm up. It's like a sort of a fusion of triangle pose and head to knee pose. And then that hand comes back to the mat. Keeping your chest lifted, little not soft knee bend. We're going to step into chair pose now. We're going to take one last vinyasa, and that's going to bring us to child's pose. And then part 2 of this video will be some seated hips and hamstring stretches. Inhale, straighten the legs, tiny back bend. Exhale, fold forwards. Lift the chest to gaze, step or jump to plank. Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, up facing dog. Exhale, down facing dog. That's going to bring us all the way back to our feet. No hold. Rise to your toes. Bend your knees. Step or jump to the top of your mat. Spine is long. Fold to your legs. Exhale. Take your breath in, sweeping the arms up. And exhale, swan diving back into your forward fold. Lifting the chest to gaze. Step in or jump in, plank pose. Lower your knees, sit back and find your child's pose. exhale. Now before we sort of finish, a really nice back stretch is to take child's pose, to come up onto your knees. So stack your hips over your knees, walk your hands further forward, but leave your hips over the top of your knees and keep sliding your hands forward until you can come down onto your elbows and your forearms and maybe your chest and your chin, some of you. And we call this puppy dog. And it's a beautiful back stretch. So bum nice and high, spine nice and long, tiny, tiny inversion, sinking in. And if this isn't great for you, you just sort of come back to your child's pose. And then just nice and cautiously lifting up off your elbows, walking your hands back in, taking your lovely cat spine. And from your cat spine, sit back and find your child's pose. And I quite like to just stack my hands one on top of the other and just get a little rock going side to side. Maybe you want to just bring your arms in alongside and just rest the backs of your hands or your fingers on your feet. And we take a child's pose. So coming all the way back and up when you're done from that. Bringing your feet in, shoulders down. So I'm going to add another video to this, and I'll probably put this one up and then do the next one, because I've sort of spent most of my morning now just doing this one video. So I need to think I've got things to do, but inhale, hands to your heart, and namaste. Have a really lovely day, keep well. Stay home, and I'll see you soon. So thank you.